A very good evening. From stories around the world to stories here at home, this is the National News Broadcast. I'm Vidushni Sadish Kumar.
Good evening, I'm Clifford Richards. First of all, we take a look at the headlines.
Video footage released depicting a group of the Yapalana government in conversation with Zahran Hashim. The Mahasangha states that the president received a majority to prepare a constitution suitable to the country. An evaluation of standards is to be carried out concerning the new diamond vessel. Plans underway to earn $1 billion from the local sports industry over the next 5 years. The Mattala airport comes under the observations of overseas flight and cargo operation representatives. India records 97,000 COVID-19 positive cases within a day.
And we now move on to the stories in detail. Information has been revealed before the Presidential Commission of Inquiry probing the Easter Sunday attacks pertaining to a video which depicts a group of political representatives who contributed to establish the Yapalana government having a lengthy discussion with Zahran Hashim. It has also been revealed before the Commission that although the state and military intelligence units notified the then Defence Secretary to ban 6 extremist Muslim organizations after the Easter Sunday attacks, only 3 organizations have currently been banned. Testifying for the 4th day before the Commission, former head of the National Intelligence Service, retired DIG Cicero Mendes, yesterday stated that steps were taken to ban the National Tawhid Jamaat, the Jamaat Milate Ibrahim and the Vilayat and Selaini organizations. The Justice chairing the Presidential Commission inquired of the relevant parties as to whether the Directorate of Military Intelligence had cited 3 more organizations in addition to these organizations detailed by the intelligence units after the attacks. At this point, it was stated that 3 organizations had been cited under the names Ceylon Tawhid Jamaat or Ceylon Tawhid Jamaat and the Sri Lanka Tawhid Jamaat. When questioned by the chairman of the commission as to why steps were not taken to ban these organizations, the retired DIG stated that the relevant sections were educated. However, they were told that these organizations do not pose a threat. The justice chairing the commission queried as to whether the retired DIG Cicero Mendes received the opportunity to meet the Defence Secretary and discuss on arresting Zahran Hashim. To this, he responded that it was a task that should have been carried out by the IGP. However, the action was not taken. Meanwhile, defeated 2015 presidential candidate of the National Front for Good Governance, Mohammed Mustafa, was summoned before the Presidential Commission yesterday. At the recording of the evidence, a video was played depicting a conversation involving the witness, former Eastern Provincial Councillor of the Sri Lanka Muslim Congress, Sibli Farooq and Zahran Hashim. The video footage reportedly shows Shane Mohammed, who is the brother of Zahran Hashim, engaged in the conversation. The video runs for around 30 minutes and the relevant footage in question was played by the Commission before the witness. The conversation in the video takes place in Tamil, in which Zahran Hashim and Sibli Farooq are reportedly seen discussing on whether funds amounting to around 1 million riyals received by MLM Hizbullah for his political activities have been remitted from Arabia or from the Hira Foundation. The senior state counsel hearing evidence on the commission at the point questioned as to why Sibli Farooq met with Zahran Hashim. The witness responded stating that this meeting, which was taken place at Zahran's office, was a political one.
Now in other stories, the Mahasangha states that people have given President Gotabaya Rajapaksa a majority to compile a new constitution that suits the country. They say that the people are gladly watching the path taken by the president to build a self-sufficient economy whilst meeting with the expectations of the people step by step. The chief prelates of the Lankaramaya, Mirisavatia and Sri Sambuddha Jayanti Viharas expressed these views when they met with the president this morning. Upon arriving at the Lankarama Vihara, the president called on chief incumbent Venerable Ralapanave Dhammajoti Thera and engaged in a brief discussion. The president inquired into the conservation work of the Vihara and engaged in a conversation with the devotees present. Thereafter, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa met with chief incumbent of Mirisavatia, Venerable Ithala Vatune Vave Gnanatilaka Thera. The President then proceeded to the Sri Sambuddha Jayanti Vihara and engaged in a cordial discussion with Venerable Nugethanne Sri Panyananda Thera. The President worshipped at the Atamasthane at Anuradhapura yesterday. He met with Atamasthana-adhipati Venerable Pallegama Srinivas Thera and engaged in a cordial discussion. The President engaged in religious observances at the Jai Shri Mahabodhiya and inquired of the well-being of the devotees present. Thereafter, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa arrived at the Ruwanvelli Mahasaya and engaged in religious rites. The President engaged in a cordial discussion with Chief Prelate of the Ruwanvelli Mahasaya, Venerable Pallegama Hemaratna Thera, and also inspected the conservation work at the Jetavana Vihara. He also met with Chief Incumbent of the Vihara, Venerable Halmillave Ratanapala Thera. The President then arrived at the Abhayagiri Vihara and after engaging in religious observances, met with Chief Incumbent Venerable Kalanche Ratnasiri Thera and inquired into renovations of the Vihara.
Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa states that the official website of the Kalaniya Rajamaha Vihara will be advantageous from today onwards for the worldwide Buddhist community and also the non-Buddhists interested in the Buddhist philosophy to enhance their knowledge. The Premier made this comment joining in the Kalyanodaya ceremony held today to launch the website of the Kalaniya Rajamaha Vihara, which is www.kalaniyatemple.lk. This new website has been designed upon a concept of the President of the Dayaka Sabha, Dr. Saman Veerasinghe, and also presented to the Premier the book titled Sri Kalyani Durutu Dharmadeshana.
අක්‍රාමාත්‍යවරයා එහිදී කියා සිටියේ මෙම නව වෙබ් අඩවිය නිර්මාණය කෙරුණේ විහාරස්ථ දායක සභාවේ සභාපති වෛද්‍ය සමන් වීරසිංහ මහතාගේ සංකල්පයකට අනුව. ශ්‍රී කල්යාණී දුරුතු ධර්මදේශනා 12 ග්‍රන්ථය අග්‍රාමාත්‍ය මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ මහතාට පිළිගන්වනු ලැබුවේ විහාරස්ථ දායක සභාවේ සභාපතිවරයා විසින්.
Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa pointed out that Buddhist devotees throughout the world and non-Buddhists interested in Buddhism direct their queries to the Mahasangha and also to the government. Therefore, such a website will be useful in responding to their queries. He expressed confidence that this website will create a background for Buddhists and non-Buddhists, not only in Sri Lanka but also worldwide, to explore Buddhism. The Premier extended his appreciation and respects regarding the tasks carried out by the prelates on behalf of the government.
සොයා බලන්න අවශ්‍ය ප්‍රශ්න වලට පිළිතුරු ලබා ගන්න පුළුවන් තත්ත්වයක් මේ තුලින් ලබා ගන්න පුළුවන් කියලායි මම විශ්වාස කරන්නේ. අපි රජයක් විසින් කළ යුතු කාර්යයක් ඔබ වහන්සේලා සහ දායක සභාව එකතු වෙලා කර කිරීම පිළිබඳව අපේ ස්තුතිය ගෞරවය යා අවස්ථාවේදී පුද කරමින් මේ සාර්ථක වේවා කියලා ප්‍රාර්ථනා කරමින් මම ඔබින් සමුගන්නවා.
The Buddhist statue completed in the Sri Vimalarama Vihara at Malabar, resembling the 18-foot Aukana Buddha statue, was unveiled under the patronage of the Premier today, the foundation stone for the Sangha abode, and the statue chamber was also placed by the Premier. The statue was unveiled by the head of the Dhamma Institute, the Venerable Alle Gunawantsathera, whilst the ceremonial plaque was unveiled by the Premier, who performed an offering of flowers as the first Mal Puja. The Premier also joined in a gathering organized by the Yuthakama National Organization at the Sri Lanka Foundation Institute yesterday. The Yuthakama National Organization was created in 2015 against the suppressions of the previous government. This gathering was organized in appreciation of those who joined the organization. The Premier engaged in a cordial discussion with Yuthakama President MP Govindu Kumaratunga and also National Organizer MP Anupa Pasquale and representatives of the Yuthakama organization. The gathering was attended by state ministers and parliamentarians and intellectuals.
අග්‍රාමාත්‍යවරයා සුහද පිළිසඳරකද නිරත වුණා. රාජ්‍ය අමාත්‍යවරුන් පාර්ලිමේන්තු මන්ත්‍රීවරුන් ඇතුළු විද්වතුන් පිරිසක්ද මේ අවස්ථාවට එක්ව සිටියා. අග්‍රාමාත්‍ය මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ මහතා
Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa paid his last respects to State Minister Siripala Gamlat's deceased mother, the late Mrs. Panagoda Don Dayabati. The Premier, upon arriving at the residence at Monarathan in Palugastam and Polonnaruwa, extended his condolences to the family members.
Two representatives of the International Fuel Tanker Proprietors Association have arrived in the country to conduct an evaluation of standards on the new diamond vessel. They conducted an aerial observation of the vessel today. Meanwhile, in order to record statements from the captain and the staff of the vessel, a team of the CID visited the Galle Quarantine Centre at which the crew are undergoing quarantine. The fuel tanker is currently positioned in the deep seas 45 nautical miles east of Batticaloa. Navy divers in an operation conducted yesterday observed damages to the internal pipeline system that connects to two outlets that take in seawater for the vessel. At the rear, the outlet was plunged as water mixed with engine oil had been leaking through it to the sea. The operation was jointly conducted by the Sri Lanka Navy, the Sri Lanka and Indian Coast Guards and the Indian Navy.
Marine Environmental Protection Authority, together with the CID, reported the facts today regarding this new diamond vessel incident. Based on the request made by MIPA, there were 3 orders given. First order is that permission was granted to proceed with collecting oil samples from the ship, and the second one is that given permission to CID to interrogate the crew. Third one is that granted permission to CID to collect this VDR voyage data recorder for their further investigation. And there are 2 representatives from ITOF, that is International Oil Tanker Fund, Oil Tanker Pollution Fund. There are 2 representatives landed Sri Lanka just to investigate the situation and to support Sri Lanka assessing the situation. These 2 representatives actually they did air surveillance and their report is yet to obtain.
Justice Minister Ali Sabri says that President and the government has determined to ensure the national security, peace and tranquility in day-to-day life of the public by eliminating drugs and crimes and enhance to higher education opportunities for the children of the nation. And he made those comments at a ceremony held at Zahira College, Colombo this afternoon. A ceremony was held at Zahira College, Maradana today to felicitate its distinguished past pupil, Justice Minister Ali Sabri. The function was held under the patronage of the principal of Zahira College, Trizvi Marikar. Addressing the gathering, Minister Sabri explained the government's priorities.
Our government and His Excellency the President is keen to develop this country, treat everyone equally, support everyone to achieve greater heights. You could see that. And he had understood 3 main areas of importance. Number 1 is national security. No chances will be taken ever. They put so much of focus on that. And you shouldn't take any chance given the vulnerable history that we had. So he'll ensure a foolproof mechanism which will ensure our security in this nation with lot of priority, not with visible tanks and warfare aircrafts, but with lot of intelligence that is taking place in style, and you could see the difference. Second one is peace, tranquility and peace of mind. No underworld will be allowed to rule the country. No one will be allowed to force anyone. Everyone is a free citizen in this country. We have taken a lot of trouble on that. Even now, last week I met His Excellency twice. This morning I had a long chat with the Defence Secretary. We are all working round the clock to eliminate all sorts of drugs from this country. There was a time only drug addicts went after. Now it is everyone who is involved, irrespective of their status or connections, will be brought before justice. Day before yesterday, in a discussion we got to know our ability to hold in our prisons are 11,000. Now we have 30,000 people to hold. It's a massive problem. Mostly drug addicts and drug traffickers. So we are trying to define the difference between a drug addict and a drug trafficker. Drug addict is a victim. So we are trying to treat them. We are trying to take the law change the law, create rehabilitation centers, and create an atmosphere that drugs will be totally ceased from the society. Third one is education. President Rajapaksa wants every child who deserves to be in the university should be given the opportunity of going to the university. If you look at, no other sector had been given so much of importance than education. There are 5 dedicated state ministers under education ministry who look into every area of it. So that is because we understand what a country and its citizens expect from governance. That is national security, peace of mind, devoid of crimes, good education will pave the way for prosperity. We understand that. So therefore, that's why we as a team working very hard round the clock to get it on track.
2 individuals have been arrested by the police special task force in the Migoda area in Homagama in possession of 1 kilo of heroin. Meanwhile, the police headquarters states that in a special operation conducted island-wide from 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. last night, 4,186 individuals, including wanted criminals, drug smugglers and traffic offenders, were arrested. The Puttalam Police Narcotics Prevention Bureau arrested a man in the mainstream of the drug smuggler in possession of 75 grams of heroin at dawn today. The arrest was made during a rapid raid conducted out along at the Colombo-Puttalam road near the lagoon. Police have seized 2 motor cars, 2 motorcycles, cash amounting to 262,000 rupees, suspected to be proceeds of narcotic sales. The police state that the suspect, who is a resident of Tilladia, had been arrested in 2008 on charges of selling to an unorganized underworld criminal gang 3 T-56 weapons belonging to Tiger terrorists and a pistol, and had been released in 2018. Minister Namal Rajapaksa states that plans are underway to earn $1 billion from the local sports industry over the next 5 years. Addressing a media briefing held with regard to the National Surfing Tournament, which is to be held on the 26th and 27th of this month, the minister stated that they hope to further reorganize the sports sector and transform it into a sector that can bring in foreign exchange. He said that steps will be taken to transform the sportsman into an entrepreneur, and all other affiliated sectors of sports will be strengthened as an objective to transform the sector into the capacity of being able to earn foreign exchange of $1 billion over the next 5 years. The minister stated that when the sportsman becomes a professional sportsman and ultimately an entrepreneur, a sports economy can be built as affiliated industries such as tourism industry expands. Whilst brand value, brand name, sports items and clothing industries will also expand, and the government will take steps to create professional sportsmen. The minister further stated that instructors at certain gymnasiums need to be integrated into the sports economy concept, as the government has the responsibility to provide the necessary training for such instructors and to promote Sri Lankan gym instructors who serve at tourist hotels overseas. The minister added that he intends to discuss the topic at length in the future. The surfing tournament is being organized under the full supervision of the Ministry of Sports with the objective of taking the sports and tourism sectors forward in a new direction. The events will take place along the Arugambe beach. A group of international airlines and cargo company representatives inspect the facilities at the Mattala Mahinda Rajapaksa International Airport yesterday. Government experts they expect to provide tax and other concessions for exporters, those who use Mattala Airport for their operations. Representatives of 10 export companies and 25 airline services joined the inspection tour at the airport. They looked into the possibility of dispatching local and items such as fresh vegetable, fruit and apparel. Storage facilities and freezer chambers were inspected by the representatives of exporters. Following a tour a discussion was held between the company representatives and the airport authorities. Exporters requested to enhance the facilities for their operations at the airport. They pointed out that there is no filling station nearby the airport, and it is one of the lapses that bars major cargo transportation operations. Chairman of the Airport and Aviation Services Limited, Shehan Sumanasekara, said that they are ready to fulfill the necessities of the exporters and airline companies. He said a major project has been implemented to make Mattala Airport an international cargo hub.
Minister of Labour Nimal Siripal De Silva says that steps will be taken to have expatriate Sri Lankan workers repatriated, giving consideration to the existing quarantine facilities, and the respective diplomatic missions have provided such stranded migrant workers with the monies required to purchase food and the drinks. And the minister expressed these views in response to the adjournment debate presented by parliamentarian Imtiaz Bakir Makar in Parliament recently. Parliamentarian Imtiaz Bakir Makar pointed out that over 50,000 expatriate Sri Lankans have been stranded overseas for many months amidst many difficulties and are now destitute in those countries. The MP therefore called on the government to regard the situation as a matter of priority and take steps to facilitate the security, health and safety and food requirements of such Sri Lankan migrant workers during the period in which they remain stranded overseas. The MP also requested the government to expeditiously take steps to have such expatriates repatriated without delays. In response, Minister Nimal Siripal De Silva said that the capacity exists to fly back only a limited number of returnees, as all returnees need to be sent to quarantine. The minister therefore stated that steps have been taken to supply food and drink and the necessary pharmaceuticals through the respective embassies and the Foreign Employment Bureau at the cost of over 80 million rupees. The minister also noted that there are expatriate Sri Lankans illegally residing overseas, but legitimate overseas residents do not face any issue. Another story is Arsenal Tariq Khawaja, the man who caused a Sri Lankan student in Australia to spend a month in jail in 2018 by framing him on a fake terror plot, has tearfully admitted in court that he was a coward. Khawaja, the 40-year-old brother of cricketer Usman Khawaja, sobbed as he told the Downing Centre District Court that the friendship triggered insecurities and mental health issues. Mohammad Kamir Nisamdin, a 25-year-old Sri Lankan student who was following a PhD, had been charged with creating a document connected to preparations for a terrorist act, but was released on bail on September 28, 2018 after spending 4 weeks behind bars. Khawaja was jealous of Mohammad Kamir Nisamdin's friendship with a woman when he scrawled the terror blueprints in a stolen notebook in August 2018.
And moving on with more local stories now, Minister Chamal Rajapaksa states that the responsibility exists to minimize criminal activity by promptly responding to complaints lodged at police stations. The minister made this comment when he met with senior superintendents of police at the Colombo Crimes Reporting Division yesterday. Well, at this meeting, issues experienced by SSPs and shortcomings at checkpoints were discussed, whilst welfare requirements of police personnel were also inquired. The minister was accompanied by Defence Secretary Retired Major General Kamal Gunaratne. Minister Chamal Rajapaksa stated that when considering court cases, a lengthy process is observed. In certain instances, the case is getting held up midway, sometimes when samples are sent to the government analysts or when references are made to Attorney General's department. The minister says that senior police officers have a responsibility to inquire into such instances, as responding promptly to complaints brought to the notice of police by the public helps to speedily resolve them. The minister especially emphasized that special attention should be given to minor complaints. Meanwhile, Defence Secretary retired Major General Kamal Gunaratne engaged in an observational visit at the Bogambara prison this morning. The current renovations are expected to be completed speedily. The Defence Secretary expressed views on the fast undertaken by a group of inmates at the Busi prison. He said that the group of inmates who have initiated the fast are a major group of criminals in the country. He further stated that this group of criminals have put forward a highly unjustifiable demand. And the Defence Secretary pointed out that if an individual in this country commits an offence, the law needs to be enforced without considering status. And moving on with sports news, welcome back. The Bangladesh squad is reportedly in a crisis on their forthcoming tour of Sri Lanka after advice had been given that the visiting Bangladeshi team need to undergo 14 days of quarantine, which will not have any training taking place during the quarantine period. But the Bangladeshi squad is scheduled to arrive in the island on the 27th of this month, and the players are required to undergo 14 days of quarantine at the hotel accommodating them. These guidelines were provided to Sri Lanka cricket by health and security officials. The 3-day match and the test is scheduled to commence on the 24th of October. That's in Kandy. Well, that's it on the news, and do enjoy the rest of the programs. Take care and good night.
Good night.